Okay, hi everyone. So we're backtracking a little bit today because we're going to go back to angles, not in a triangle, just angles in general. We're going to be looking at estimating angles. So estimating just means it's basically having a guess, but an educated guess. So trying to come up with a reason about why your guess is reasonable. So a few key facts to go over before we start. So a full circle is 360 degrees. So if you had an angle, so let's say we've got a line like this and you've got an angle that starts here, goes all the way around, that would be 360 degrees because it's the full way round a full circle. Next one to know is angles on a straight line are 180 degrees. So if you've got a line like this, that would be 180. So it goes from here round to here. And the last kind of key useful one is 90 degrees. So this one is a right angle. And it makes sense because it's half of, so if you imagine that's 180, it's half of that. So that would be 90. Okay, so what we're going to look at today is how we can come up with sensible estimates. So with these ones, we've got some angles that we don't know, and what we're going to do is try and have a guess at what they would be without measuring them. So we've already just seen this one. So this one looks like a right angle to me. So I would estimate that as 90 degrees. So without measuring, we can't know for sure if it's 90. It could just be close to 90, so it could be like 91 or 89 or something like that. But it's approximately 90, and that's all we're going to be going for with today's stuff. We're just having a guess of roughly what it is. This one as well, we've seen one like this as well. So this is pretty much angles on a straight line. So again, looks very close to that, but it might not be exact. So we'd estimate 180 degrees, but it could be just around 180 degrees. It could be 179, it could be 181. So it's close to that. Okay, so now let's have a look at some of these. Let's go for this one next. So with this one, we can see it's kind of, so you've got angle on a straight line here. So this bit is approximately 180. We don't know if it's exact, but it's about 180. And then this bit, to me, looks like about a right angle. So it's about 90. So altogether then, we've got 180 plus 90. So that would be 270. So that is 180 plus 90. So it's about 270. Again, because we've not measured, we don't know exactly, but we would estimate that it's around about 270 degrees. And this last one, so this is probably the hardest one of these ones, because it's smaller than 90. So we know that 90 is a right angle, so it looks like this. Sorry, not very neat. So we've got our 90 degrees there, and we can see that it's not that close to 90. But we can see it's about halfway there, because if you have two of them, that's about 90. So if I was to estimate this one, I would work out half of 90. So it's about half of 90. So I would estimate that that one would be about 45. So again, it might not be exact, it might be anywhere between, say, 35 and 50, but it's around that kind of area. It's around 45, and that's all we're trying to go for, because we're estimating. So it's basically, we're guessing, but we're trying to do it with a reason. So let's have a look at some and see if these seem like sensible guesses. So this one, we've already given the guess, we just need to see if it looks sensible. Okay, so this one, we'll start over here. So this, we've got 89 as a guess for this. So at first glance, that seems reasonable enough because we know that 90 looks like this. And we can see that it's quite close to that. But the thing is, we can definitely see that it is more than 90. So actually, a more sensible guess for this might be something more than 90, whereas this, 89, that is less than 90. So we know for a fact that it's going to be more than 90. So I'd be more likely to guess something like 100 for this one, because we can see for a fact it's not less than 90. So I would say 89 wasn't a sensible guess for that one. Right, let's have a look at this one now. So again, we know 90 degrees, and we can see we've got 70 here, apparently. So again, I would say this wasn't a sensible guess, because 70 is not far off from 90, so I'd expect it to look a lot more like 90. Whereas with this one, you can see if we put another one of them in, it'd only be to about here. And so by this guess, that would be like 140 degrees, which is then clearly not right. You could maybe even fit a third one in, So it'd be saying that was 210. So we could see that this is definitely not right. So I'd be more likely to say that that was something, maybe say 30 degrees, or maybe slightly less than that, maybe 25, just because you can fit a few of them in a 90-degree one. Okay, let's have a look at this one next. Okay, so with this one, 190, that is fairly close to 180. We know what that looks like. So let's draw in 180. So we've got our straight line, so that is 180, and it's a bit more than that. So I think 190 seems very sensible for that one. So I would probably guess around about 190 as well. Okay, let's go on to this one now. Okay, so this one, again, we know what a 90 looks like. And we can see that 10, I think, so it's a very small chunk of that 90. So I think that one seems very reasonable. It's a really small angle. I think 10 seems about right. I'd probably guess something like that. Okay, and this last one, so if you cast your minds back, a couple of slides ago we looked at one that was 270, and that looked like this. And so that was because it was angle on a straight line. Oh, I don't know why that's messing up like that, sorry about that. So angle on a straight line plus a 90 degrees. So that was 270. And so this is clearly more than that. So this is there and there. So this should actually be more than 270. So I'd be more likely to guess something like 280 for this one, rather than 265. So it's got to be more than 270. So basically with all of these, we're trying to see what is it near to. So ones that we know 90, we know 180, we know 270, and we know 360. So we're trying to see what is it close to, and then compare it. Is it bigger than that? Is it smaller than that? Is it about half? All these kinds of things as things that we can use. Right, so what I'd like to do now is pause the video and have a look at these ones and come up with some estimates. So think about the ones that you do know, so 90, 180, 270, 360, and also maybe try thinking if it's about halfway between two of them, maybe it'd be sensible to work out what half of one would be, and then work that one out, and then we'll go through the answers to these ones in a second. So pause the video now and have a go. Don't worry too much about it because it's going to be more practice as well. Okay, so I'm assuming you've paused and had a go now. Let's go through some answers. So I've got the answers here. These are the actual answers. What we'll do is we'll see how we can get there with an estimate. Okay, so number one, we can spot, okay, so I know what a 90 degree looks like. So I've got 90 here. And then I've got a bit more than that. And I'd say it's about half of another 90. So we've got 90 plus about half of 90. So half of 90 is 45. So I would work out 90 plus 45 equals 135. So my estimate for that one would have been 135. So it would have been a little bit off, but quite close for just an estimate. Okay, so number two was 230. So again with that one, we've got angles on a straight line, so that is 180. And then again, I'd say we've probably got another half of a 90 there, because if 90 is like that, I think it's about halfway. So I'd say another 45. So for this one, I would have done 180 and 45, so I would have estimated 225. So again, a little bit off, but not by much. So normally if it's estimating, you'd have quite a big range. You could probably have plus or minus 10 or even 15 degrees. So you don't have to be exact. That's why this is quite a nice topic. You just have to be close-ish. Okay, so with this one, 360 would be the full way round. We can see we've got a little bit less than that. So I would probably guess, yeah, around about 350, just a bit less than 360. Okay, over here this is 70. So we know what a 90 degree looks like. I'd say, okay, it's a little bit less than that, maybe a little bit more than 10 degrees. So probably, yeah, 70, 75. So let's say 70 for that one. So basically we're just comparing to something that we do know. Okay, so this one, 175, we can see this is really close to angle on a straight line, which we know is 180. So it's just a little bit less than that. So I would either guess 170 or 175 for that one. So it's just a bit less than 180. And this last one, so we know what 90 looks like. And it's just, we know it's a really small one. So 45 was here. Maybe 20 is about here then, so about half of that. We could then say, right, okay, it's a bit less than 20 maybe, so let's say 15. But the smaller angles I think are a bit harder to estimate because you're trying to fit more in. So, like I say, you don't have to be getting the answers exactly right as long as you're within the right kind of range. So if the correct answer was 150, you wouldn't be wanting to say 300 or something like that. If you're plus or minus 20 from the real answer, that's fine. As long as you're getting roughly close, that's great. Okay, so a quick quiz now. I want you to have a go at these, so pause the video now, and I want you to try and estimate this one. So it might help if you imagine drawing extra lines on, so maybe like this. And you're trying to estimate how much of an angle the red one is. Okay, so this one was 70 degrees. So it's a bit less than 90, but not by loads. Okay, again, pause the video now. I'll draw a dotted line on which might help as well. Okay, so maybe I'll try draw another helpful line like that. So we know this is 90. How many bits have I split it into? Okay, so my estimate for that one would be 30. Again, because I split it into 3, so it's a third of 90. Okay. Let's have a look at this one again. I'll do a helpful line. Okay, so have a think about this one. So think, what angle have I got here? And then what am I splitting it into? Okay, so for this one, I would do 90, and I'm splitting it into 2 parts. So that gives 45. So that would be my estimate for that one. Okay, so this one, bit bigger, so let's have a go. So we've got our line there. I'll see if I can do another helpful line. So think, what angle have I got here? And how many equal bits am I splitting it into? Okay, so for this one, I would say, so 180 is the full kind of half circle. And then if I'm dividing it into 3, that'd give each chunk to be 60, and I've got 2 chunks, so I would say that one was 120. So it's kind of a bit like fractions, but as I say, if you're not getting them exact, don't worry, as long as you're getting roughly close, that's great. So for that one you could have had anywhere between probably 110 and 130, 140. Okay, let's have a go at this one. This is quite a tough one. So I've got 180 there. I think the way I would guess this one, I would maybe do something like that. So I've got 90 here, and then of this other 90, how many bits have I split that into? Okay, so this is 90, and then each of these ones is a third of 90, so I'd say 30, 30, and then this one would be 30 as well, but I'm missing that. So I've got 90, add 30, add 30, so I would guess 150 for this. Let's see how close we were. 160. So you can see I wasn't exact, but I had a reason why I went there. So I would think I would still get all the marks for that if the question was estimating the size of the angle. So as long as you've got a reason, you can even draw on your reasons on the diagrams to help explain it, and you're more likely to get marks if you do that. Okay, I think this is the last one now. So one last one to have a go at. So I'll draw a dotted line on there. So we know this is angles on a straight line, so we know that is 180. Okay, so this one is quite a small one. I'd probably guess about 20 for that. So 200 degrees, so 180 add 20 would be 200. So our estimate was correct. After a bit, you do get the hang of it. You'll see, okay, I don't think that's quite as big as 30, so I might guess 20 for that. But with this, although there is a correct answer, there's a range of answers you can give and still get the full marks with estimating. So this is quite a nice lesson for that. You're kind of just guessing. So it's a really nice topic. I like this one. Oh, there's one more. So if you want to have a go at this one, You can do. If you want to go and start the task, that's fine as well. So with this one, I would probably start by thinking, right, the full circle is 360, how much is missing? So I'd probably guess that was about 20. So I'd say, I think we've got an angle of 340. There we go. Okay, so today's task is on, it should be attached to the Firefly thing, it's estimating angles. So I've attached the actual answers as well, but when you do it, just make sure you've got a reason for why you're picking it. Don't just guess a random number, but then you can compare to the answer. If you're within a reasonable range of it, you will get the mark. So don't worry too much if you're not getting exact, as long as you're getting close to, that is fine.